Mvuzo, the ghost of Johannesburg. That's what they call me. My canvas isn't some stretched piece of fabric. It's the city itself. Brick by brick, I breathe life into forgotten walls, painting stories that tower over the streets. My murals are massive, bold, a part of the city's pulse, or so I thought. Lately, something's been off. The city feels different. It started with a rooftop I painted a few months back, a stylized sunset over the skyline. Last week, I was across town miles away and I saw it. The same building, the same angle, the same sunset I'd created from memory and imagination. It wasn't a copy. It was my asterisk painting made real. I tried to brush it off a weird coincidence, But then it happened again. Today, I'm standing in front of my latest piece. A mural of an old mining shaft headgear, its steel lattice stark against a cobalt sky. I painted it on the side of a modern glass skyscraper, a deliberate clash of old and new. As I run my hand over the wall, my fingers don't feel the smooth painted surface. They feel the rough, cold rust of weathered steel. The texture is real. I can feel every groove, every pit mark. I pull my hand back like I've been burned. Okay, my heart is hammering against my ribs. This isn't possible. The paint. It's not just paint anymore. I retreat, stumbling back into the bustling street, the sounds of the city fading into a dull roar in my ears. The people rushing past, the taxis honking, none of it seems real. Only the mural does. A cold sweat breaks out on my forehead. I need to get back to my studio. I need to think. Sprinting through the maze of Johannesburg's streets, I finally burst into the sanctuary of my studio. The smell of turpentine and oil paint usually calms me, but not today. The air is thick with tension. I slam the door shut, leaning against it, trying to catch my breath. My reflection in the large window shows a man I barely recognize, eyes wide with a fear I've never known. Then, I feel a strange warmth spreading across my skin. I look down at my arms, covered in the intricate ink of my tattoos. They're glowing. Faintly at first, then brighter, the black lines pulsing with a soft, ethereal light. The patterns, inspired by ancient symbols and modern designs, begin to shift and writhe, moving like living things under my skin. The warm sensation intensifies, a low hum vibrating through my entire body. This has never happened before. Tattoos have always been a part of me, but now, they feel like they're waking up. From a shadowy alley across the street, a figure watches my studio window. He's a relic from another time, dressed in a crisp, old-fashioned colonial suit, complete with a waistcoat and polished shoes. Eyes are fixed on me, a glint of something cold and calculating in his gaze. He stands perfectly still, a statue amidst the city's chaos, his presence an unnerving omen. He knows what's happening to me. I try to ignore the chaos erupting on my own skin, my mind racing back to my work. I grab my sketchbook, flipping through pages of recent designs. My fingers tremble as I stop on a detailed drawing I finished last night, an abandoned train station. Derelict and hauntingly beautiful, its tracks disappearing into a dark, forgotten tunnel. It was just a sketch, an idea I was planning for a wall downtown. A deafening roar shatters the night. The entire building shakes, rattling the jars of paint on my shelves. It sounds like grinding metal, like the shriek of a ghost train. I rush to the window, my glowing tattoos casting dancing shadows on the walls. I look out and my blood runs cold. Where an empty lot stood just moments ago, there it is. It's the abandoned train station from my sketchbook. It's real. It's the crumbling brickwork. The shattered clock face frozen in time. The rusted tracks leading into an abyss of darkness. It is materialized out of thin air, ripped from the page, and forced into reality. My art. It's not just painting on walls. It's rewriting the world, and I have no idea how to stop it. The man in the colonial suit is gone, vanished into the shadows, leaving me alone with the impossible thing I've created. The architect of shadows. Thank you for watching the first episode of Inkwane. If you want to see what happens next, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We'll see you in the next one. The stranger's eyes, ancient and knowing, locked onto mine. A chill snaked up my spine, colder than any winter wind off the Atlantic. He called himself Kaizer, a name that felt heavy with history, like something pulled from a forgotten textbook. He claimed he was a spirit architect born in the 1800s. My first instinct was to laugh, to dismiss him as another Josie madman with a wild story. But his stare held me fast. Then he said the words that shattered my reality. Claimed Sizwe Mvuzo had inherited something he called the builder's gift, the first person in centuries. The words hung in the air, absurd and yet terrifyingly resonant. I shook my head, my voice a harsh rasp. "You're crazy. I'm just a painter. Leave me alone." But Kaizer just smiled, a thin, knowing curve of his lips that promised chaos. "A painter?" he echoed, his voice smooth as aged leather. "You are so much more." Before I could react, he lunged forward, his hand surprisingly strong and shockingly cold, clamped around my bicep. He wasn't pulling me towards the street, but towards my own mural, the vibrant cityscape I had just finished. My feet scraped against the pavement as I fought back, muscles straining against his impossible grip. "What are you doing?" "Showing you the truth," Kaizer hissed, his face inches from mine. And then the world dissolved. The solid brick wall of the building became yielding like thick, wet clay. A nauseating lurch twisted my stomach as he dragged me through the surface of my own painting. The smell of turpentine and wet plaster filled my lungs. One moment, I was on a bustling Johannesburg street. The next, I was standing inside a world made of watercolor. We were in an unfinished building, its walls translucent washes of sepia and ochre. Sunlight, pale and watery, filtered through a half-painted ceiling. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of wet paper and pigment. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat in this silent, impossible space. I stumbled back, my hand brushing against a pillar, rippled under my touch, the paint smearing like fresh ink. "Welcome to the canvas builder," Kaizer said, his voice echoing in the vast, incomplete hall. He stood calmly, his sepia coat blending into the painted background. I stared at my hands, then at the shifting, unstable world around me. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. My mind screamed in protest, searching for a logical explanation where there was none. This is a dream. I'm dreaming. Suddenly, a deep groan echoed from above. Cracks, dark and spiderweb thin, began to race across the watercolor ceiling. Dust, which was actually dried pigment, rained down on us. The entire structure shuddered, the floor tilting violently beneath my feet. "The foundation is weak," Kaizer yelled over the splintering roar. "It's collapsing. You have to stabilize it, Sizwe." "Stabilize it? With what?" I screamed, scrambling for purchase on the tilting floor. Chunks of dried paint and plaster rained down. A massive, half-formed beam groaned overhead, threatening to crush us. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced through my disbelief. This place, this dream, it felt lethal. My own creation was turning against me. "Use the gift," Kaizer roared, pointing. I followed his gaze and saw it. My painter's satchel slung over my shoulder, somehow transported with me into this nightmare. My brushes and paints. "Paint, you fool. Paint it real." His words made no sense, but instinct took over. My hand, shaking, reached for a thick brush. My tattoos swirled across my skin, glowing with a faint internal light. With a desperate cry, I dipped the brush into a pot of burnt sienna. I lunged towards a crumbling pillar and slashed a thick, arching line of paint against its side. The moment the bristle touched the surface, the paint didn't just color it. It solidified. Solid, tangible buttress of wood and stone erupted from the wall, groaning into place and taking the strain. The shaking lessened for a second. It worked. I stared in disbelief, my breath catching in my throat. The stroke I had painted was now a real architectural support, smelling of fresh-cut timber and solid rock. The power surged through me, a heady, terrifying rush. Another section of the ceiling began to crumble. Without thinking, I was moving, my brush a blur of motion. I painted crossbeams, support columns, arches, my mind working faster than I could comprehend. Each stroke was a desperate prayer. Slash of gray became a steel girder. Swirl of brown and green became a thick living root that wrapped around a fractured wall, holding it together. The tattoos on my arms and back moved with me, their patterns shifting and reforming with every architectural element I brought into being. This was more than painting, it was creation, raw, chaotic, and terrifyingly real. The building groaned one last time, then settled, the immediate danger of collapse averted. I stood panting in the center of the hall, my body trembling, my red t-shirt soaked with sweat. The space around me was now a bizarre hybrid of my watercolor washes and the brutally solid structures I had just willed into existence. I had done this, had this power. Kaizer walked towards me, his expression unreadable. You see now? The gift is not just about making pretty pictures. He gestured around at the chaos I had wrought. It's about shaping reality, but without control. He pointed to a beam I had made. It was already starting to splinter, the wood aging at an unnatural rate. A tease of force of destruction. The realization hit me like a physical blow. This power, this builder's gift, it was a part of me. But it was wild, untamed. I had nearly gotten us both killed inside my own art. The escape was a blur. Kaizer grabbed me again, and we plunged back through the wall, tumbling out onto the hard, familiar pavement of the real world. I lay there, gasping for air, the smell of exhaust fumes a welcome anchor to sanity. My mural was unchanged. The people walking by hadn't seen a thing. It was as if nothing had happened. But my hands were still trembling, my clothes were covered in pigment dust, and the memory of solidifying paint was burned into my mind. I looked at Kaizer, a man torn from the pages of history, who had shown me a truth I could never unsee. My life as just a painter was over, and I was terrified of what came next. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button to follow Sizwe's journey. The air in Soweto hung thick with dread, a chilling whisper carried on the wind. A family vanished. Gone inside a building that shouldn't exist, a monument to my own breakdown. I stood before the half-painted structure, its concrete skin raw and unfinished, my heart hammered against my ribs. I did this. During a moment of sheer emotional chaos, I painted this nightmare into reality. A car pulled up, and a woman stepped out. Her name was Loreto Molf, a local architect. She eyed the impossible building, then me. "You're Sizwe," she said, her voice steady. "They said you created this. Need to understand how." I just nodded, the weight of my creation pressing down on me. How could I explain that my grief had mixed with the paint, that my sorrow had laid the foundation for this prison? "They're still in there?" I managed to say, my voice raspy. Lorato's gaze didn't waver, and we're going in. Together, we stepped through the gaping maw of the entrance, leaving the familiar streets of Soweto for the twisted labyrinth of my own making. The air inside was cold, stagnant, smelling of wet concrete and something else. Regret. The corridors twisted impossibly, folding back on themselves like a concrete serpent. Doors led to brick walls, stairs descended into solid floors. It was architectural madness. As I walked, a familiar prickling sensation crawled over my skin. I glanced down at my arms. The ink, my tattoos, they were moving, shifting and swirling like smoke trapped beneath my skin. This was new, terrifying. "What is this place?" Loreto whispered, her architect's mind struggling to map the illogical space. "It's a memory," I breathed. "A bad one." Suddenly, a flicker of movement down the hall. A translucent figure, a ghost of a memory, shimmered into view. It was a boy crying. Me. My past, given form by the building's haunted energy. The memory ghost lunged, not at us, but through us. A wave of cold, desolate sadness washed over me. It was the day my father left. The raw, unfiltered agony of a child's heart, now a phantom stalking these halls. Lorado gasped, clutching her chest. I felt that. The despair. I knew then that these weren't just echoes, they were weapons. We pushed deeper. Structure groaned around us, the walls seeming to pulse with a malevolent life. Another ghost appeared, this time an angry silhouette of a man, my father, his words echoing in the confined space. You're not good enough, Sizwe. You'll never be enough. The phantom's voice was a physical force, shaking the very foundations. Debris rained from the ceiling. We have to keep moving, Lorado yelled, pulling me forward. My tattoos writhed in agitation, the ink swirling faster, darker. It was as if they were reacting to the emotional onslaught, feeding off it or fighting it. I couldn't tell. We rounded a corner and stumbled into a vast, cavernous room. In the center, huddled together, was the missing family. They were trapped in a cage of shimmering, distorted light. Protecting them were more memory ghosts, dozens of them, all fragments of my worst moments. Failures, heartbreaks, fears all, given spectral form. They turned their hollow eyes towards us. This was the heart of the nightmare. To free the family, I had to face my own personal hell, laid bare in concrete and sorrow. Sizwe, what do we do? Lorado asked, her voice tight with fear. I looked at my hands, the ink on my knuckles twisting into unrecognizable patterns. The power that built this prison, maybe it could also tear it down. I have to paint, I said, a sudden clarity cutting through the chaos. I have to finish it. I had no canvas, no brushes, no paint. Only the cold, damp concrete walls and the turbulent ink flowing in my veins. I pressed my palm against the wall. The moment my skin touched the surface, the tattoos on my arm flared with an intense, dark light. The ink flowed from my skin, not as a liquid, but as pure, shadowy energy, spreading across the concrete like a living stain. The ghosts recoiled, hissing. The building shuddered violently. It's working, Lorado shouted. I focused, channeling the pain, the anger, the grief, not into creation, but into uncreation. I wasn't just painting on the wall. I was rewriting the blueprint of my own trauma. I drew a door where there was none, a wide-open archway leading back to the real world. The shadow ink blazed, and with a deafening crack, the concrete wall dissolved, revealing the sunlit street outside. The memory ghosts shrieked and faded, their powers severed. The cage of light around the family flickered and vanished. They scrambled through the opening, back to safety, back to reality. The building began to collapse, its impossible geometry imploding. Sizwe, come on, Lorado yelled, pulling me towards the exit. As we burst back into the Soweto air, the entire structure crumbled behind us, dissolving into a cloud of dust and fading shadows, as if it had never been there at all. I looked down at my arms. The tattoos were still, but they felt different. Awake. Alive. I wasn't just an artist anymore. I was something else, an architect of shadows. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel to follow my journey as the Inkwane. See you in the next episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to Inkwane, Architect of Shadows. Last time, Sizwe discovered his paintings weren't just art. They were gateways to a world built from shadows and memory. But with great power comes great danger. Let's dive into episode 4, The Sculptor of Night. The scent of turpentine and wet paint filled Sizwe's studio, a familiar comfort. Lorado was laughing, her voice a bright melody against the quiet hum of the Johannesburg night. Sizwe felt a rare moment of peace, his brush dancing across a new canvas, the tattoos on his arms swirling with every stroke. But peace is a fragile thing. Suddenly, the air grew cold, thick, with an unseen pressure. The lights flickered violently, then died, plunging the room into an eerie twilight cast by the city glow. A shadow detached itself from the corner, elongating, twisting into the form of a man. He was tall, gaunt, with eyes that burned like dying embers. He held a single dry brush, its bristles stained with something that wasn't paint. Looked like pure absence. Lorado screamed. Sizwe spun around, his heart slamming against his ribs. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice tight. The man smiled, a chilling, humorless gesture. "I am Mandla Lankasi's wide, but you can call me Mandla. This city of shadows belongs to me, and you, Inkwane, are trespassing." Mandla's gaze was possessive, sweeping over the studio, over Sizwe's canvases. "This is my studio," Sizwe growled, stepping in front of Lorado, shielding her. "Get out." Mandla's laugh was like grinding stone. "Your studio? This reality is just a canvas, and I am the one who erases the mistakes." He raised his brush. Sizwe's instincts screamed. This wasn't just a threat. It was a promise of annihilation. With a lazy, deliberate flick of his wrist, Mandla swept the dry brush through the air. A ripple, like a heat haze, shot across the room. Where it passed, reality simply vanished. Half the studio disappeared. The wall, the easel, the shelves of paint, jars gone. Not destroyed, but erased, leaving a clean, terrifying void that ended in a razor-straight line just inches from Lorado. She stumbled back, a choked sob escaping her lips as she stared into the nothingness where her chair had been moments before. Sizwe's blood ran cold. This was power on a scale he couldn't comprehend. Not creation, but uncreation. Mandla's tattoos were stark and still, a stark contrast to the living ink on Sizwe's own skin. "See," Mandla said, his voice dripping with condescending pride. "All this effort you've put into building your little worlds, I can unmake it with a thought." He took a step forward, his eyes locking onto Sizwe. "You build with shadows. I command the void that consumes them. Your art is a flicker, mine is the eternal dark." Rage, pure and primal, surged through Sizwe. He wasn't a fighter, not with his fists, but his art. His art was his soul. "You will not touch her," Sizwe snarled, grabbing his own brush, dipping it into the nearest pot of black paint. His tattoos flared to life, glowing with a faint inner light. The air crackled with energy. Mandla just chuckled. Brave. Foolish, but brave. He made another sweeping gesture, this time aimed directly at Lorado. The wave of erasure sped towards her. Time seemed to slow. Sizwe reacted without thinking, his body moving on pure instinct. He flung his arm out, not to block, but to paint. A thick, arcing line of black ink shot from his brush, intercepting the wave of nothingness. The two forces met with a silent, concussive blast of energy. The ink sizzled, boiling away as it fought the void, but it held. A wall of solid shadow, born from Sizwe's will, now stood between Mandla and Lorado, a jagged, defiant scar in the air. For the first time, a flicker of surprise crossed Mandla's face. "Impressive. You can resist. But for how long?" He began to paint the air with broader, more aggressive strokes. Swaths of the floor disappeared. The ceiling vanished piece by piece, revealing the cold night sky above the newly formed abyss. The studio was being unmade around them. Sizwe was a whirlwind of motion. He painted shields, walls, tendrils of darkness that lashed out, trying to ensnare Mandla. But the rogue artist was too quick, his power to absolute. For every structure Sizwe created, Mandla erased too. It was like trying to build a sandcastle against a relentless tide. Then, the worst began to happen. The strain was too much. The boundaries between worlds started to fray. Sizwe's paintings, the ones still intact, began to bleed.
Tent.
A half-finished cityscape of towering spires started to superimpose itself over the real Johannesburg visible through the window. The scent of rain from a painted storm filled the air. Shadowy figures, forgotten characters from abandoned sketches, flickered at the edges of Sizwe's vision. They were pouring into his world, drawn by the chaotic energy. The city of shadows was leaking, and Sizwe was the broken dam. Mandla saw it, and his smile widened into a predatory grin. "You're losing control, Inkwane," he taunted. "You can't even manage your own creations. How can you possibly hope to challenge me for this city?" He pointed his brush at Sizwe's chest. "It's time to erase the mistake." The tip of his brush glowed with concentrated void. Sizwe knew he couldn't win a direct fight. Not like this. He needed to change the battlefield. He glanced at Lorado, who was pressed against the last remaining wall, her face pale with terror. He had to get her out. Had to end this. With a roar, Sizwe didn't paint a wall or a shield. He painted a door. A swirling vortex of ink and shadow, a direct portal into one of his most complex labyrinthine creations, a twisting, impossible library of forgotten stories. "Lorado, go, now," he yelled. She hesitated for only a second before scrambling through the shimmering portal. The moment she was clear, Sizwe turned the full force of his power on Mandla. He wasn't just defending anymore, he was attacking. He summoned beasts of shadow, sculpted from pure ink, that lunged at the sculptor of night. Mandla erased them with casual flicks, but it bought Sizwe time. He plunged his own brush into the heart of the vortex he'd created, pouring all his focus, all his will, into it. He wasn't trying to close it, he was weaponizing it. The portal surged outwards, a ravenous whirlpool of creative energy, sucking in everything. Loose papers, easels, the very floorboards began to tear away and fly into the painted world. Mandla was caught off guard. The pull was immense, the raw power of a world being born fighting against his power of unmaking. He braced himself, his feet sliding as the vortex tried to claim him. For a moment, the two opposing forces held each other in a terrifying stalemate.
Ow.
The studio was tearing itself apart around them. "You can't win," Mandla shouted over the roaring chaos. "Your power is messy, chaotic. Mine is pure." Sizwe gritted his teeth, his muscles screaming in protest, the tattoos across his entire body now a blinding network of light. "My world has substance. It has soul. Yours is just empty." With a final, desperate push of will, Sizwe collapsed the portal, but not before he lunged forward, grabbing Mandla's arm. He couldn't beat him, but he could banish him. He shoved Mandla towards the vortex just as it imploded. Mandla screamed, a sound of fury and surprise, as he was dragged into the painted dimension. The vortex sealed shut with a deafening implosion of silence. The extra-dimensional light vanished, leaving Sizwe panting in the half-erased ruins of his studio. The leaks from his other paintings slowly receded, the shadow world pulling back its tendrils. He was alone. He stumbled to the spot where the portal had been, his hand touching the wall. Lorado was safe, but she was trapped inside his painting, and Mandla was in there with her. The battle wasn't over. It had just moved to a new, more dangerous canvas. Sizwe looked at his hands, stained with ink and trembling. He had to go in. He had to bring her back. The City of Shadows has a new, unwilling visitor, and a queen to be rescued. Sizwe must now navigate his own creation to save Lorado and confront Mandla on his own terms. The line between artist and art has never been more blurred. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss what happens next in the world of Inkwane. Welcome back to episode 5 of Inkwane, Architect of Shadows. Last time, Sizwe discovered his unique ability to manipulate the very fabric of architecture. Now, his journey into the unknown continues. Kaizer led Sizwe through a shimmering tear in reality. They stepped out not into Johannesburg, but into a breathtaking, impossible cityscape. "Welcome, Sizwe," Kaizer's voice echoed, "to the city of shadows." Before them stretched a metropolis born from dreams and forgotten plans. Shantytown shacks floated like clouds, bridges twisted upside down, and half-finished skyscrapers pierced a twilight sky. It was a beautiful, chaotic testament to what could have been. Sizwe stared in awe. His tattoos pulsed with a strange energy, the ink swirling across his skin. He could feel the history here, the echoes of hands that had longed to build. Kaizer explained, "This city is built from discarded architectural concepts, a graveyard of ambition. But it's also a source of incredible power." As Sizwe reached out, a nearby structure of sand and glass responded, morphing under his silent command. Kaizer smiled. "Your power, Sizwe, is not just your own. You channel the spirits of ancestral builders, the master craftsmen of Mapungubu, the architects of Great Zimbabwe, are a conduit for lost kingdoms." Suddenly, the air crackled with malevolent energy. A section of a floating highway crumbled, raining debris near them. A figure emerged from the dust, his face twisted in a sneer. "Still playing mentor to lost causes, Kaizer?" Kaizer stiffened. Mandla. The name was a curse on his lips. Mandla, cloaked in shifting shadows, laughed. "I see you've found a new apprentice. Let's see if this one has any real talent." With a flick of his wrist, Mandla ripped a steel girder from a nearby ruin and hurled it at Sizwe. Thinking fast. Sizwe threw up a hand, and a wall of solidified shadow erupted from the ground, deflecting the attack just in time. The impact sent shockwaves through the very foundation of the city. "Impressive," Mandla conceded, a predatory glint in his eye. "But you're just a novice." He lunged, his form blurring as he moved. Kaizer intercepted him, their bodies colliding in a clash of raw power that made the phantom city tremble. "He was my apprentice," Kaizer grunted, struggling against Mandla's hold. He grew greedy, seeking to control the city, to drain its power for himself. He corrupted the gift. Mandla shoved Kaizer back, his laughter echoing. "The gift was meant to be taken, old man, not shared." He turned his attention to Sizwe, his hands glowing with dark energy. "And now, I'll take his power too." The ground beneath Sizwe began to liquefy. He was sinking. The entire city was groaning, its structures flickering as if they might vanish. Mandla was draining its foundations, feeding on its very essence. The city was collapsing. "Sizwe, you have to run," Kaizer yelled, creating a barrier of light to hold Mandla back for a precious second. "The city is unstable. He's tearing it apart from the source." With no other choice, Sizwe turned and sprinted. The world dissolved around him into a vortex of crumbling concrete and shattering glass. He leaped through the portal just as it began to close, tumbling back into the familiar reality of his studio. He was safe, for now. But the image of the collapsing city of shadows and Mandla's triumphant wicked smile was burned into his mind. He now understood the true stakes of this war. The air crackled around me as I returned to the real world, but something was different. The ink on my skin, once a prison for restless spirits, now pulsed with a new energy. It wasn't just a pattern anymore. It was a living map, a chronicle etched into my very being. Scenes began to flicker across my arms and chest, not of shadows, but of sunlight on ancient stone. I saw the majestic walls of Great Zimbabwe rising from the earth, the golden glow of Mapungabu's palaces and the soaring rock-hewn churches of Ethiopia. These weren't just images. They were memories, a history flowing through my veins. The tattoos shifted, pulling me, guiding me with an undeniable force. They were leading me somewhere, away from the city's concrete jungle and deep into the heart of the land. My journey ended in the rolling hills of rural KwaZulu-Natal. The air here was thick with the scent of wood smoke and earth. The ink led me to a small, humble homestead where an elder, his face a beautiful map of wrinkles, awaited me. He looked at my tattoos not with fear, but with knowing eyes. He spoke of ancestral ink, a sacred mixture of ochre, ash, and river minerals. He would teach me its secrets. He showed me how to grind the ochre, how to mix the ash, how to imbue the ink with intention and respect. This wasn't the ink of shadows. This was the ink of creation, of healing. With a brush made from reeds, I painted for the first time with this new medium. The lines I drew didn't create prisons, they built sanctuaries. The structure that rose from my canvas wasn't a cage, but a haven, a place of peace that soothed the very spirits I once battled. A sense of hope filled me, but it was fragile. I had found a way to heal, to build instead of break, but a cold fear lingered in the back of my mind. Mandla, he coveted power, any kind of power. What would he do if he discovered this sacred ink? He wouldn't see healing. He would see a new weapon, a way to corrupt and control. The battle for the shadows was far from over. Welcome back to Inkwane, Architect of Shadows. This is episode 7, Pillars of Blood. The heart of Johannesburg screams. Mandla has unleashed his masterpiece, a skyscraper of nightmares. It's a living thing, a monstrous cathedral of bone, twisted metal, and writhing shadows. It doesn't just stand, it stalks, claws its way through downtown, tearing buildings from their foundations and absorbing them into its grotesque, ever-growing form. Concrete and steel scream as they're consumed. But I'm here. I am Siz. As the beast of a building lurches, my tattoos ripple with energy. I leap into action, my brush a blur against the canvas of the sky. I paint solid light, weaving support beams of pure energy to brace a toppling office block. I paint counterstructures, glowing cages of ink trying to contain the chaos. It's a battle of creation versus destruction, my light against his darkness. The city is our canvas, and the stakes are its very soul. Sparks fly as my painted girders clash with the shadow-forged metal. The monster roars, a symphony of grinding gears and shattering glass. I push back, my muscles straining, my focus absolute. Every stroke is a prayer, every color a shield for the innocent caught in this war of art. But Mandla's creation is relentless. It adapts, growing stronger with every building it devours. Then, through the chaos, I see her Lorado. She's trapped. A steel beam twists, and she's pulled inside the monstrous architecture. My heart stops. The building is a living tomb, and she's caught in its belly. I have a choice. I can unleash my full power, tear this abomination down from its foundations, but the resulting collapse could crush everything inside. I can destroy the monster, or I can save the woman I love. The brush feels heavy in my hand. What do I do? Kaizer's words hit me like a physical blow. Mandla wasn't his first apprentice. My father was. My father who died trying to seal the very boundary I was now struggling to understand. The boundary between our world and the city of shadows. A wave of guilt washed over me, cold and suffocating. It was a wound Mandla saw immediately, and he was ready to pour salt in it. He approached me, his voice a venomous whisper, twisting the truth into a weapon. He spoke of a truce, a new beginning. A world where artists like us wouldn't just capture reality, but create it. A new shadow capital, built by our hands, ruled by our vision. He painted a picture of power, of ultimate creation, and for a moment, I was tempted. The guilt over my father's sacrifice, the desire to give his death meaning. It was almost enough. I could almost see this new world he described, a paradise forged from ink and shadow. But then the truth slithered out from beneath his lies. His new city required a foundation, a horrific one. To stabilize his creation, he planned to sacrifice thousands of innocent souls. The dream shattered, replaced by a nightmare. This wasn't creation, it was destruction on an unimaginable scale. All the tension, all the history, all the betrayal between us finally boiled over. There was no more talking. I lunged, my fists crackling with shadow energy. He met my attack with a sneer, his own tattoos writhing as he drew power from the encroaching darkness. We were no longer just rivals. He parried my strike, the impact sending shockwaves through the crumbling street. He was faster, more ruthless than I remembered. He fought with the desperation of a man whose twisted dream was slipping through his fingers. Every punch, every block, was filled with the weight of my father's memory. I was fighting for him, for the people Mandla would sacrifice without a second thought. The air grew thick with the scent of ozone and spilled ink as our powers clashed, lighting up the deepening twilight. The city of shadows bled into our reality, its strange architecture twisting the world around us. This was more than a fight. This was for the fate of two worlds, and only one of us could walk away. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next episode. Sizwe, his body a canvas of living ink, faces Mandla. He closes his eyes, calling on generations of power. The tattoos on his skin begin to glow, peeling away from his flesh. They writhe like liquid shadows, wrapping around him, hardening into obsidian armor, etched with the wisdom of his ancestors. He is no longer just an artist. He is a warrior, a living conduit of history. He dips his hands into the air itself, pulling forth ancestral ink, a substance shimmering with spectral light. His fingers become brushes, the sky his canvas. With sweeping, powerful strokes, he paints not a picture, but a reality. A colossal structure erupts from the void, a fortress temple that defies time. You can see the mighty stonework of Great Zimbabwe, the grand pylons of Egyptian Nubia, and the sleek glowing lines of African futurism, all fused into one impossible, breathtaking bastion. This is where the final battle will be decided. This is the foundation of the ancestors. Mandla watches, his face a mask of rage and disbelief, as Sizwe stands before his creation, ready for war. Meanwhile, Lerato races against time. Her fingers fly across ancient scrolls, her eyes decoding the intricate patterns mirrored on Sizwe's skin. She finds it a ritual, a final, desperate gambit to collapse the City of Shadows forever. But the cost is staggering. Still, to save the world, Sizwe must bind his own power, sacrificing the very magic that makes him Inkwane. The battle is cataclysmic. Reality fractures. One moment, they're trading blows amidst the steel and glass towers of Johannesburg. The next, they're on the crumbling ramparts of Sizwe's shadow fortress. The city collapses around them, pixels of darkness dissolving into nothing. Mandla, bloated with the power of stolen souls, is a monster, a force of pure destruction. He overwhelms Sizwe, pinning him down. For a moment, all hope seems lost. But with a final, defiant roar, Sizwe slams his palm to the ground. He isn't painting a weapon, he's painting an escape. A door materializes, simple and unadorned. It leads to an eternal, unfinished corridor, a prison of endless possibility with no exit. He shoves Mandla through, trapping him in a maze of his own making. The door slams shut, vanishing. The immediate threat is gone, but the City of Shadows still bleeds into the world. Sizwe knows what he must do, performs the sealing ritual, and a wave of light erupts from him. His tattoos fade, his power drains away, but he is alive. He has saved his city. Months later, Sizwe is no longer a shadow warrior. He's a teacher. He opens a community art school, his canvas now the city itself. He paints murals on buildings, transforming walls of trauma into symbols of hope and healing. He's found a new way to use his gift.
Oh, way back.
But as the camera pulls back, a final shot lingers on his arm. In the fading light, a single tattoo begins to glow with a faint, malevolent pulse. The shadows are not gone. They are waiting. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.